structured this pitch is, I don't know how many of you came to the pitch back in the spring, but we've redesigned the game quite a bit, so I just kind of wanted to go through what we had last time and what our new changes are. So when we originally pitched the game, we pitched it as interactive social commentary for iPad, and that is exactly what it still is. But there's still a number of different things that I want to talk about. So our original mission for this game is to create an emotionally engaging, intellectually stimulating, and accessible video game about how our generation views the world. Pretty cool mission, but there's a problem. The world's really big and it has a lot of different social issues in it. And as students, we probably should just kind of focus it down a little bit. So in the name of scope, we decided to focus this game all about the current economic recession. And so the economy is going through a huge part of this game, and that's a social issue that we really want to deal with. Some of you guys might recognize this. This was the original prototype that we showed back last spring. And you'll notice a few things in this original design. It's kind of this weird 2.5D. You look at the cards head on, and everything is a card. Everything from the people to the different types of jobs, everything. It was cool, but we ran into a number of problems with it. Number one, it was really hard to pick up the cards like this. On the iPad, you had very small little space to pick up the cards since you just saw this little sliver of them. And there were just too many variables. Everything was a card. So you had people, jobs, and our system just blew up. It became like impossible for us to keep track of what was going on. And as far as this one, impossible to tell which cards the people were linked. Well, in the original design, the people would pop out of the cards, which was cool, but then you couldn't figure out where they came from in the first place. So we decided to change that. And then our goal originally was stability. But the thing about stability is it's kind of hard to quantify, and we had like a different scenario for stability in every single scenario. So we had things like, okay, now you have to make this house financially stable, or now you have to make these two people fall in love. And that's still part of the game, but it's a little bit more quantifiable now. So this is what our playfield looks like now. It's a little bit different, so let's kind of break it down a little bit. We switched our viewpoint to isometric. The reason that we did that was because it solves the problem of not being able to easily select the cards. Now you have this nice surface area to put your finger on the iPad. We also added what we call designer-defined structures. Now let me explain that a little bit. In the original design, you could basically build whatever you wanted, and it was cool, but it didn't follow the laws of physics at all, or your expectations of what cards actually do. So now the designers are coming up with different structures. So, for example, this formation of cards might always be a library, and this might be always be some type of business. And as you play the game, you learn what these formations are, and then you kind of have them in your arsenal to use later on. You kind of build up like a Pokédex of sorts of different card formations. You also might have noticed that we separated the people and the cards, and we turned the cards into these like creature things. So we did this because we wanted the people to be the center of the story, and the cards to be kind of their protectors, their watchers. The cards are the economy and all the different forces that are in the world. So we didn't really need the people to be part of that system. We wanted to show how the system affects the people. So we divided the cards into 4 different types. Before we had like 20. There's basic structure cards that just provide structure to a household. They don't provide anything else. You can build a house on a structure, but it'll have no value. So that's where the value cards come in. They will increase the value of whatever is inside that structure. So take, for example, a house. Now you have a family that is a little bit more wealthy. Or you could have a restaurant that becomes, from a fast food joint to a 5-star restaurant with value cards. We have employment cards. So what these are for businesses, they have a certain amount of employment cards that they can distribute to different families. Those are basically their job openings. And that will be a resource that becomes increasingly scarce as we get more towards modern America. And the last type of card is something we haven't totally quantified yet, but it's called hope. And the idea of this card is it's a little bit more intangible. It has a different effect based on the people's beliefs. So if you give this type of card to a family that is deeply religious or spiritual, it might have a different type of bonus than to a family that is not. We also changed our objectives in the game. So rather than stability, all the objectives will come through solving people's ambitions. We created this social network that we call Cardboard. And it's kind of like a combination of Twitter and Facebook. Basically, if you tap on a person, you see their card, which is like their profile, and you can see what ambitions they have, what they want to fulfill. And people will be tweeting sort of throughout the game to let you know what they're thinking and to see what else is going on in this land of cards. So I came up with a few different ambitions. These are just a few of them. We have many more. But there's different ways that you could go about solving for each of these. So Assume that we have a single lady here who wants love. And you find another single guy in the environment and he wants love too. He works in a big business, so she's unemployed. Well, one of the things you might want to do is employ her in that business so those two can meet each other. And then maybe you want to build a place for them to go on dates, like a restaurant or something. But there's a catch. You can't please everybody. You have a finite supply of cards to build things with, to build out your stories. Somebody's ambitions will always go unfulfilled. So the story will kind of take different turns based on who you decide to fulfill. We originally pitched this game with a very clear business model in mind, and we're going to talk about a little change to that. Now, before you guys freak out, we want to pursue freemium because on the App Store, these are the games that have the most user retention and the games that are always the top grossing. And the problem with freemium right now is that there's a lot of really unethical ways to do it. So we have a number of ideas. I'm not going to talk about all of them right now, but just so you know, we're not doing anything energy related or time related. It's a little bit of a different approach. So come talk to me if you're interested in that. Now, I think the professors are going to kill me when they see this next slide, so I apologize in advance. But we're really not looking for anybody else except for maybe artists. But engineer-wise, we absolutely are fine in that department. And front production, fine design. We'll be at LCAT tomorrow, Richard for Artists. And if you're an artist and you want to come talk to us, that's great too. I noticed I didn't put my mentors and tech on the slide, so let me go over that real quickly too. Mentors, we have the entire Where's My Water, Where's My Perry team from Disney. All of the leads from that team are the leads for the different divisions. So we have the design lead, and the engineering lead, they'll be advising the engineers, and the art lead will be advising all the artists. In addition to the guys from that team, we also have Genova Chen from that game company who will be advising us on the design of the game as well. And I'm glad I got to give you this short little update on House of Cards. Thanks a lot.
What is your size right now?
We have 13 people on our team. 2 of them are not from USC. So there's
Are they coming to class, or are they?
I'm sorry?
Are they coming to class or no?
Yeah, they should all be
So
here.
you need about 13 seats, okay.
Yeah.
And Unity or?
Yes, it's going to be in Unity.
And you don't need a room with lab classes.
What's that?
You don't need a room with lab.
You don't need to leave. As much as I can.